So how many of you, this is the first time that you've done IEW at all?
Me.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we've got a few people that haven't and a lot of you that have. So I am super crazy about IEW. Okay. I'm kind of a nut about it. And the reason I am is because it always works no matter what kind of student you have. It works well for people that already have a lot of writing skills, and it works well for people who struggle. And sometimes with people that struggle, it takes a little longer to settle in. And but if they keep doing everything and they keep practicing it, eventually it will create these pathways in the brain that is going to stay with them. It's the beauty of IEW. And it always works when everybody does what I tell them to do. So that's the golden key. So the things that I'm going to be asking them to do, it's really important that they do them and that they practice them the way I say for them to practice. And the reason why is it's just like learning to play an instrument or learning to play a sport. I don't know about the rest of you, but I do know that when I was taking piano, I had like major sessions like the day before my piano lesson, or sometimes even the day of my piano lesson. And I did not practice ahead of time. And I picked up on music stuff pretty quickly, so I could stumble through my stuff. But I never really achieved what I could have achieved if I had just practiced with a focused attitude for 30 minutes a day. And so writing is that same kind of thing. Writing is an academic subject, but it's also an art, like music or like drawing or any kind of art that requires a lot of particular skills. So it's very important that they follow the directions and that they practice every day, Monday through Friday, except for writing class day. The assignments always begin the day after class and they finish the day before class, and they don't include the weekends. Okay. And so your main job as an editor is to keep your student on schedule. Some people are worried, oh, I don't know enough grammar or whatever, and I don't think I can be a good editor. That's, you'll read through the papers and catch what you can. Some people probably disagree with this, but I know Andrew Pudewa agrees with me. So that's all I need to know. And that is that spelling and punctuation and all that is very important, but learning to compose is a completely different thing. It is a different part of the brain. Learning to spell is a different part of the brain. So when you are helping your student, you catch what you can, you help them fix what you can. But the main thing is that they do their assignment every day and that they do each thing on the list. And you have a handbook so you can be reading the pages and know what it is we're doing. And you can, when you're looking at their papers and that it says on the schedule, every so many days to take your paper to your editor and let them review your paper, you'll know what you're supposed to be looking for and make sure that they did it, and you'll be a fine editor. Everybody needs an editor. You saw that when I sent out the email about the date, right? I was so careful to change everything in the body of the email, and then I just didn't even notice the subject line. So Thomas Sowell, one of my favorite writers, says that if there was anything that could survive a nuclear blast, it's typos. And so everybody needs an editor. Just having a fresh set of eyes that doesn't know what you meant when you wrote it helps. You can say, I don't know what you were trying to say here, but I don't think that word that you said is what you meant. Or things like that. So you will be just fine being an editor. And I'm not going to make a big deal over grammar and spelling. I will correct it when I grade their papers. And for the grammar that's involved in the style things that we learn, those are the grammar things that I will actually take points off for. But you'll learn all of that as we go. It's really fun. And you will also become a better writer while you're learning to do these things. So I don't want anybody to be worried. I had one mother, and I won't say her name, who came up to me the other night and said that she was really nervous. And I said, why? And she said, well, I just don't think I know how to do all these things. And I said, you're going to learn as you go. And all of you will learn as you go. The people that have done this before, is that true? Did you learn as you went? Okay. All right. So don't let it get you weirded out. You're going to be absolutely fine. The main thing that I make such a big deal over, because it's a life skill, is following directions. So I do teach writing, but the most important thing that I teach is following directions, because if they can follow directions, they'll be, ahead of 95% of the people in the world, which is sad. And that really provides lots of opportunities for them. It provides a lot of satisfaction, because when you can be counted on to do what you've been asked to do, particularly when you're an employee, that makes you a very valuable person. They don't have to worry about you, and they'll give you more opportunities, and they'll give you lots of times more responsibilities. So in my class, talent doesn't count for anything. The only thing that counts is following directions and doing the work like it's been assigned, okay? Some students really are very talented when it comes to writing, and they sometimes would get frustrated by the things that I asked them to do because they didn't necessarily like it. I had one kid that argued me down one year about the very short sentence, which is a sentence type that we learn. And a very short sentence can only have 2 to 5 words. And it has to be a real sentence. It can't be a fragment. And he thought it was terrible because he was really bright and he was a good writer. And he thought sentences were best when they were long and complicated with big words. Okay? But we need some variety in our sentence types, and that's what the sentence types teach the students to do. It teaches them to use variety. So I love writing by students that just love to write. And I also love seeing the students that have had a hard time with writing blossom and grow, and it happens every year, and that's why I keep doing this. I just can't ever get over the enjoyment of seeing the transformation that IEW makes, okay? And it's the method that does it. So I can brag about it all I want to, because I didn't come up with the method, all right? And I hope that you're going to all enjoy it. Now, it is a lot of work, but it's not as bad if you stay on top of it. If you you get behind, then it's bad. Can I get an amen from somebody that has been through this, okay? You don't want to let them get behind, because then it's a serious aggravation. And everybody has or is soon going to have their student fill out when they're supposed to be doing their work, what time they're supposed to be doing it every day. It doesn't always work out that way in real life, right? Sometimes there are field trips. Sometimes people get sick. Sometimes, I don't know, you fill in the blank. But if they have this expectation that at this time of day, I'm going to be writing, then when they can't do the writing at the usual time, then they'll start to develop a sense of, okay, when am I going to get this done? And you can help them with that. You can actually say, you can't do this today because you have a field trip. So when are we going to make this up? Okay. Don't let them go several days without doing their work. It's just horrible. And don't let them bring you papers at 11 o'clock at night to edit, especially the night before class. You are worth more than that. Okay. Require that they bring you the papers by the end of the school day. I would just want to sit down on the floor and start crying when one of my kids showed up. It's like, I've got to turn this in, blah, blah, blah. And it'd be 10 o'clock at night. I just didn't have any more patience left. I'm not a super patient person anyhow. So don't let them do that. You set your expectations and you tell them when you expect to have the paper, okay? And do it one paragraph at a time. That's how it is on the schedule. Like days or so, you'll have a paper to edit, a paragraph to edit. One paragraph isn't bad. 5 paragraphs at the end of the day, the last day before writing class, is bad. All right? Don't let them do that to you. So you set your expectations as well. They'll be better people for it. Okay. So does anybody have any questions about that? I'm going to show you in a few minutes the handbooks and the assignment part that you need to look at. But does anybody have anything they want to chime in on or ask a question about that? No? Okay. All right, let's see. I don't know how I ended up with this full screen thing again. Hold on a minute. Okay. The next thing I want to talk about is the issue of plagiarism and AI. I don't usually have trouble with students plagiarizing. The first few assignments in level 1 are sources that I know really, really well. And they're very easy sources as well. So it can be a little tricky to make them come out sounding different than the original. But I have all the way through assignment 4, I have everybody's using the same sources, except for the people that are doing the second year, because I came up with new sources for those people. And so I know those sources really, really well. And one reason I like to do it that way is because I want to be able to read it and make sure that they actually are using their own words, okay? Some kids come equipped with a iron trap memory for language. And I was one of those kids. And sometimes they have a hard time because they can still hear the original words in their head. But if you turn something in like that in a class, it's still considered plagiarism. It doesn't matter what the reason is. So if that's the case with your student, then you can help them by looking for synonyms, rearranging the sentence and things like that. But they have to learn how to get around that. That's really a handicap in writing, actually. You'd think it would be great, but it's not helpful in certain situations, okay? The other thing is AI. And I'll tell you what I'm doing right now. I have a lullaby that we used to have on a record when I was growing up that I always loved and sang to my kids. And I can't draw worth a toot, but I've always wanted an illustrative version. And I use Canva, and I found out I can do watercolor pictures by just telling Canva what I want in them. Thanks to the beauty of AI. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to make a book that I can give to each of my grandchildren, publish it through lulu.com. I won't be able to sell it unless I can figure out whether I can actually use it without violating copyright. But so AI has a lot of uses. And 2 years ago, I think it was at the end of level 1, Megan, I had John Shaw, who is her older son. He needed some guidance with some formatting things he was having trouble with. So we got on Zoom and I helped him. And then after we got done, he said, "Now I want to show you something." And I said, "Okay." He brought up Chat GPT, and he's telling it to do all these things. Like, I can't even remember. He had it write some code. He had it write a paragraph. He did all kinds of stuff. I was horrified. I had heard of AI, but I didn't know it had anything to do with me. And So he had written a paper on The Hobbit, and it was his paper. He didn't do it with AI. So I said, why don't you paste that paper of yours into AI and see if it'll analyze your paper? And he did. And it analyzed it. And then he told it to write a poem about The Hobbit. And it did. It was terrible poetry, but it did rhyme. So the thing about AI is you just have to make sure student is not taking advantage. I have a kid that if it had existed when we were doing, writing, he would have done it just for the sheer enjoyment to see if he could get away with it. Okay. He's turned out to be a wonderful fellow, and he's a daddy now. And I think very highly of him, but he would have done that just to see if he could. Okay. So if you have a kid that's doing that has that sort of personality, need to talk very sternly to them. Okay. Now, honestly, what AI puts out isn't very good. So what they will write themselves is actually way better than AI could ever do. And you need to remind them of that. One of my moms the other night, you were there, Bianca, you heard this. He's in level 2 this year. He was writing a thank you note to a teacher or something, and he had AI write it for him. She said it was this beautiful flowery thank you note. And he gave it to her, and she said, this does not sound like you one little bit. This is just way over the top. You can't give her this. So that's what I'm talking about. Don't let them use AI unless they're going to use it for something noble, like making a picture book for children. Okay. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say about that. So just keep an eye on that. If I do see that it looks like their writing is exactly like, sometimes kids will come out with sentences, strings of them, that are straight out of the sources. And we can't have that going on. Even if they remember exactly and they don't even think about what they're doing, they still can't write that way. Okay. Let's see. Let's look at the handbooks right now. Hope everybody has their handbooks with them. And we'll start with the Prep 1 people. So I know that Winter has already been working on her part of the free class assignment, because she emailed me or texted me about a book this afternoon. Okay, so on page 1.
I think it's a little above her right now.
You think Starlet
Yeah.
can?
But I started reading it aloud to her, and she was sat there and just listened to me read it. And I enjoyed getting back into that book. I love it so much.
Well, it's very British in the sentence construction and all of that kind of stuff. She might enjoy it more if you wait a couple of years. So. Yeah.
Maybe I should introduce Jane Austen first.
Well, think about Jane Austen. She's probably seen the movie, so she could probably pick up what was going on.
Of course she has.
Okay? So the Prep 1 people on page 109, if you have something to mark it with, like a sticky tab or something, I know the level 1 through 3 people have sticky tabs around, but I told the level 1 people to put them away, so you probably don't have them with you. But put some kind of marker on page 109, because this is the pre-class assignment. And if you're a Prep 1 person and you haven't yet listened to Andrew Pudewa's lecture on nurturing competent communicators, please make that a priority before classes start, because it will really help you understand why we're doing what we're doing. And it's not only that, it's so inspiring, and you'll just be beside yourself with joy. Okay. Also,
he hurt my feelings, though.
Huh?
He hurt my feelings.
Why?
He said there were whole passages in Tolkien that you could skip over.
Oh. Yeah, that wasn't very nice, was it? Okay, let's see. Also, you want to familiarize yourself with the organization of the handbook, and then you'll have a reading selection from pages 7 through 12, both of you, that you'll need to read. And go ahead and decide what read aloud you want to do first, and that's what Winter was talking about. And she's ambitious. She wanted to do the Scarlet Pimpernel, but she's decided that's a little much for a sixth grader just yet. Go ahead and get a copy, because let me tell you about Prep 1. It's almost magic if you memorize poetry and you listen to good literature over the period of a year, but it's like practicing piano once a week if you only do it every now and then. Nothing is going to happen if they don't, do the read alouds. This is why I want you to listen to the lecture, because he will convince you of how important it is. And he will also convince you of how important memorizing poetry is. And so they need to work on that every day. I don't know, has anybody actually had a chance to listen to the poetry yet? No. So they can go ahead and start listening to the poems even before we start class. That would be really good.
Is that in this?
Huh? Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Those, and that they're on a little flash drive in there. Let's see. Look on my webpage on my, let me look for it here. On my website, I have a whole list of books if you haven't seen it yet. And I'll do a screen share here and show you this. Let's see. Screen share. I love Zoom. I mean, I really got sick of it when we were all doing it back during COVID, but Zoom is so great because I used to use Skype and that was terrible. Okay, so you can go to my website and click on Story Charts. And you will see a lot of books that I have made story charts for, which are handy for talking about it after you read the book. And just, pick out something that you think your student would enjoy. I'm crazy about Sweet. I don't know who else has read Sweet besides me, but it's a wonderful book. But anyway, just go ahead and pick something. If your student isn't crazy about and hasn't done a lot of listening to literature, you might want to start with something lighter, not one of the heavy books. But just set aside time. I suggest at least 15 minutes a day of reading aloud. That's enough to do some good, and it's not too overwhelming. And then they can work on their poetry for, maybe 10 or 15 minutes a day. And then they can work on their keyword outline. And then each day they will be giving you an oral report from their keyword outline. For Prep 1 people who have never done keyword outlining before, we're going to have a little keyword outlining session when we get through talking about these nuts and bolts. And so you will be working with your student each day to do that. Let's see. You're not going to have any assignments to edit until after the first assignment starts, and that will be after the first class. Okay. So there's nothing to turn in for anybody. Well, that's not quite true. There's nothing to turn in for level 1 and Prep 1 until after we have the first class. Okay. So that assignment number 1 doesn't start until after the first class. And then once we do start that, if you look on page 110, Prep 1 people, it tells you up at the very top about what you need to do, assist your student to practice poetry. And it has a part in the book that explains the best way to memorize something, and it really works like crazy. We've memorized passages and chapters and even entire books of scripture. We've memorized poetry. We've memorized all kinds of stuff using this method, and it works so well. Okay, and it'll tell you where to read about that in the book. then you're going to read aloud from one of the books from the list, or, I've read a lot of other books that are really worth reading that are not on that list because I just haven't got around to making story charts for them. So those are not the only books you can read. They just need to be high quality books. Seems like I remember John, Robin, when he was in there, I seem to remember he had several books that weren't books that I knew, if I remember correctly. So they don't have to be my books. Those are just suggestions. Don't let it be poorly written popular fiction. Okay. I don't even know any poorly written popular fiction, so I can't tell you what to avoid. But pick good stuff. Okay. You're going to print the composition checklist. Everybody's got these online on ThinkWave, but here's what the one looks for prep 1. And each day you'll be checking off that you that you listened to them give their oral report, that you did reading aloud with them, and that they practiced their poetry. Okay. And you'll understand when you listen to Andrew Pudua that what you're doing is you're creating these pathways in the brain with language. Okay. And it happens imperceptibly. So just doing it daily, day in and day out is what makes the difference. I do believe my oldest son had some kind of language issue. I don't know what it was. I really credit the scripture memory that we did and the method that's actually in this book for his, he became a very good writer. Of course, IEW had a lot to do with that too. He became an excellent reader. He could read aloud without stumbling, and he could recite like crazy. So I really do credit all of that memory work that we did for years and years and years with helping him overcome a lot of those stumbling blocks that he had language-wise. I can't say enough about how important it is scripture is important anyway, but the memory work is the real key to helping make that transition to being a good reader and a good speaker and all of those things. Okay. All right. So any questions from the Prep 1 people right now? You'll work on this and learn it as we go, but would anybody like to ask any questions about that? Prep 1? No? Okay. Okay, so now let's look at level 1. And the page numbers are all the same, even if you've got the level 2, I mean the year 2 version of level 1. The pages are the same. It's just the sources. Some of the sources are different, so they don't have to write about the same things they wrote about last year. So if you look on page 198, that's where your assignment will start, your pre-class assignment. And of course, the main thing is getting your writing plan uploaded. And then looking through the handbook and just figuring out how that all fits together. I do want them to go ahead and work on setting up a Word document within an MLA formatting, and I need to put on a special version for Google for the people that don't have the regular Word. Oh, let's see. Tamara.
I got it figured out.
Okay, did it work when did it work to go back and make those changes?
We're using the Microsoft Word app on a MacBook. And so we had to reconfigure it differently than your walkthrough. She's using Google Docs, but I wanted her to get used to using Microsoft Word as a word processor. So we went through and we did it and printed it and used it against the transparency, and we went back and reconfigured and printed it, and we did it like 6 times, but we got it.
Let me tell you something about that transparency. I'm glad you mentioned that because that was something I was going to talk about.
Uh-oh.
I was out of town when I went and had those printed. I usually print them myself, but I was at my mother's. And so I took and paid money to have somebody print those things for me. And when I got back home, I had a few extras that I had, because I wanted to go ahead and mail them to the out of town people. When I got back home, I put those beautiful one of those beautiful transparencies on the one that I had already done. And it was smaller than mine. Did you run into that problem? Y'all are going to have to throw those away, and I'm going to have to mail you a new set.
I'm sorry.
I am so sorry.
That's okay.
I just realized that the other day. So the transparencies, y'all, it says use this to check your homework.
Yeah.
Now you might have gotten I had some of mine that I had printed, and I had some of the new ones. The new ones were real bright, and you could see them really well.
Mm-hmm.
The old ones are kind of
faded.
Yeah. Which kind did you get?
A faded one.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's the print's kind of, light and okay. Well, I may still send y'all new ones anyway, because I had to work on, I actually ended up bolding the print so it would show up better when I realized. Okay. So anyway, if you've got a faded one, then that's probably right. The rest of y'all don't use them. Okay.
I think we got it figured out pretty well.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'll look at it later.
Okay.
So that's one thing. I am going to have them go ahead and set up all of their settings for when they're not using one of my papers, like, writer and training. Okay. So that is the main thing they need to do, get their time figured out, and then work on setting up their document for when we actually start producing the papers. And I'll be making some changes to the instructions on setting that up. So, and I'll let y'all know when I have it ready. I was trying to have people use Apache Office, Open Office, and it's just not even worth messing with. Now, all of a sudden I find out I can use Google Docs and save it as a Word document. It's like a miracle. Okay.
Now, let me ask, I had heard that once you get to the university level, that the professors are not allowing the students to use Google Docs because they said it's not an official word processor. Is that true?
Usually that may be true. What they will not allow you to do is they won't allow you to send a link to a paper, which is what you really are getting. That's why you have to download it as a Word document. Okay. Usually, from what I understand, when people go to college, they're given a student version of Word. Who knows about this now?
That's what my daughter has.
Oh, the college actually provides it.
Correct.
So is that true for Linda also, Mary? Okay. All right. So that's not going to be as big of a deal, but maybe just working with Word is a big deal. Word's just very expensive to buy on your own if you have to buy it and install it on your computer. So, and it's just not an option. Some people just don't have it on their computer. And so when I found out you could download Google Docs as a Word document, everything's going to be transferred over to Google for people that don't have Word.
If I'd have known that, I wouldn't have paid for that family subscription.
Oh, well, that's the thing. Now you can't even just buy the program and just install it. You have to do that payment thing.
The whole 365, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I'm not that much of a nut that I would ask people to do that. And I can't get rid of my computer because I don't want Microsoft 365. I want it on my computer, So anyway. Okay. Any questions from level 1 people? Well, let me just show you really quick. That's about the pre-class thing. Are there any questions about the pre-class assignment? No? Okay. For those of you that haven't done level 1 with any of your kids in my class before, look at page. They're not going to do this right now. This doesn't happen until we meet for the first time. Okay. But the way this works, look at page 199. Every day, and this is really true for all the classes, even Prep 1, which looks so different, but there are 9 days between classes, and that doesn't include the weekend. And so each day they read whatever it says there in the book. It'll give you pages to read right at the beginning of the week so that you will know what's going on. They need to read it because you only retain about maybe 50% of what you hear in a class. So it's really important that they read it, okay? None of us are really just that brilliant, and it's a lot of information that we go over in class, okay? So they do need to read it. And then it'll tell them what to do each day. So the first one is very unusual. It's just like every day they're doing a keyword outline, giving you an oral report. Keyword outline, oral report, keyword outline, oral report. They do 7 of those, but when they get to the 6th one, then they start writing them. They write it up, and then they rewrite it as a final draft. And then they'll do another one, and they'll write that one up and rewrite it as a final draft. And so they'll actually produce 2 paragraphs for that first assignment. But the main thing is just having a grasp of how the work goes and staying on top of it. Okay. So that will not happen, though, until after we have our first class. We have the class, and then we have the assignment. So it'll be class 1, followed by assignment 1, class 2, followed by assignment 2, etc. If you look on the back of all the assignment sheets, you'll see composition checklist. These change and get much more complicated as we go. This is a really easy assignment. It won't take them an hour, the first assignment. It won't take them an hour probably when they get to their second assignment, but things will quickly ramp up. So what I want them to do is to practice doing it day by day, like it's laid out, so that when they do get to the stuff that gets harder, they'll already be in the habit of doing their work day by day. Does that make sense? They're building these muscles to use later on. Okay?
So I have a question.
Okay.
When you say assignment, each assignment 1 is day 1 through 9. It's not
Yeah.
separate assignment. Okay.
Right.
I'll just make it. I'll tell on myself. Like, it's the first time I've looked in this book, but I'm just trying to get my bearings.
Your bearings. Yeah. Yeah. So each of these pages is one assignment. Okay. It has 9 days. It's broken into, I like to call them the daily to-do list. And if you will, make sure that they do them each day, and there's never any of this last minute heart attack, which is how I lived my life all the way through school. There actually are people who don't do that. I was not one of them. My strategy was to put it off as long as possible and then have several miserable days. That's not a good way to live. And when you get to be my age, it starts really taking a toll on you. So it's so good for them to learn to do this at an early age. Let's see. Okay, who said they hadn't gotten their book yet? Oh, Wendy. Okay. Yes, let me show you. All right, Wendy, are you going back home? Are you going back home soon? You're away, right?
Yeah, I'm in Missouri right now.
Okay. I can send you, I think I have pages for this PDF. If you can remind me after the meeting, okay, I can send you pages for the reading and what they need to do for the first class. But this is how it looks for the actual assignment, which you won't be starting the weekly assignment until after we start our first class, and that's still, it's almost 3 weeks away, right?
I think so.
Well, maybe not 3 weeks. Is it? Yeah, I think maybe 2.5 weeks or something. So, yeah, so it's just divided into little blocks so that with little check marks, and I do encourage them to check off the check marks, and then everybody will print. Well, you can, since I don't require the online people to turn in the composition checklist, they can probably just use the one in their book. but I do have all the composition checklists on the website, although I need to go update some of them, so don't print them yet, okay? But you just print the one you need. Each ThinkWave assignment has its own documents that will be printed for the homework, okay?
So the students are not turning in the checklists?
They don't have to turn them in because when they turn in their work, okay, this can get kind of complicated, but let me show you what an assignment looks like for the online people, okay? Let me find it here. I'll go back to last year. Okay, so this should be what everybody's ThinkWave looks like. Does this look familiar?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Participants can now see your, oh, I guess I had lost Bianca. All right. So, I don't know why that's open here. Let me close that. Sorry, y'all. This doesn't seem to be, okay, there we go. All right, so this is what your page looks like. And you can see that each of these things have been turned in by Aubrey. And we'll just open up number 3 here. So this is what the green is when I returned the paper, okay? So Aubrey turns in 2 documents. She turns in a Word document and she turns in a PDF. So the PDF has this. And Prep 1 people, this is what you will be turning in. You won't have to turn in Word documents except for this one assignment, this pre-class assignment. This is Aubrey's PDF. We were writing about elephants. And so she's got all 3 of her keyword outlines. And then she's got her rough drafts. And Carrie is a very good editor and gives very good directions. And I do want to see editors' notes on the rough drafts, okay? Now, not everybody writes that much, and I don't think Carrie necessarily writes that much either. And Carrie does real nice things like, this is great, or things like that. Oh, see? Sounds great. Use smiley faces. Makes everything feel better.
How much editing do you want? Because some teachers just want it edited enough to make it legal.
Yes, it depends on the student. It depends on the student. Carrie's not one of those overbearing editors. I have had some moms who almost totally rewrote the papers, and I'm not in favor of that, you know. It just depends on the student. And so it depends on the student. And then here's the other, let's see. All right, now let's look at her final draft, which is always in a docx file. And okay, I guess it's going to take a while. Word can't do this. Okay. All right. Just give a second here, y'all. It'll open up. And if you don't have a scanner, you are going to, PDFs can be made with your smartphone. So there's an app called Cam Scanner. Cam Scanner, is that right? Yeah, I think it's Cam Scanner. And so you will want to be able to take pictures and take pictures of the rough drafts and the final drafts. But when you turn in the final draft, it is turned in as a Word document, okay? And so this is her Word document. You can see her very lovely heading there. It's done perfectly. Her spacing is perfect. She's got her header at the top of the page. And she's got we're just learning to do dress ups here. So her dress ups are marked. And so there's her rough draft. And then this is what it looks like when you get a graded paper. I've tried grading lots of different ways. I cannot stand grading on the computer. And I just print off the papers and I hand grade them. And then I scan them and upload them again. So I will mark up the composition checklist. And there's no point in y'all uploading those because I have to print them. I have to print it off anyway. So I'd rather just print them straight from my computer. And then I have the final draft marked up here, but I give it back as a PDF. I have this little thing here that tells you about all of the formatting, a stamp that I use, and I love to be able to write this on the top, perfect formatting with a thumbs up. And you can see smiley faces everywhere. If there is anything that needs to be corrected, I mark them in green highlighter so they can easily be found. And there's not very much green on Audrey's page there, you can see. So that's what your submission should look like. Okay, you have your PDF for the keyword outlines and rough drafts, and this is all in the handbook too. And you also have a Word document with the final draft, and then I will grade it and send it back. And then at that point, you will want to start going, and I'll tell you, this is on the website. Go look at it and look at the things that need to be fixed for the next paper. Okay?
So you want to, do you want to correct it and resubmit it to you, or?
No, we just don't have time for that because we go from paper to paper to paper. We don't have, a lot of, if you're doing an English class, that's not usually the way it is. This is specifically a writing class. In an English class, they'll be doing lots of other things in between papers. And
So
you might have 2 papers in a semester,
So you want them to take note of what the error was so that they don't make the same mistake for the next.
Yes.
Okay.
And I try to get them back within a reasonable time so that y'all can look at them and make those corrections on the one that you're working on. That way they're not practicing the same mistakes over and over again.
Okay.
It really fires up the progress when they, can see what they need to do, and they can go ahead right then and start making changes.
Okay.
So, works pretty well. I decided I was scanning the papers for the online students and putting them back on the website because that's the only way I could get the papers back to them. And I did theirs pretty soon. And then the other people, the local people, had to wait till they got back to class to get their papers. Even though I did write comments on ThinkWave, it's not like seeing it, And I thought, after a while, I thought, well, this isn't really fair.
Yeah.
These other people need their papers back too. So now I scan everybody's papers and post them back on the website as soon as I can. So, okay. It sounds very complicated, but it's such a little bit at a time. It's not as complicated as it probably sounds right now. What did you want to say, Bianca?
So they're writing the paper and then we are editing it. And then you are correcting it. And then, okay, I just, okay.
Yes.
It sounds like
and
a silly.
We're just trading papers back and forth all year. So,
okay.
Until Christmas, I don't give homework over Christmas. They just have to pick out a book to read in level 1 that they're going to read in the second semester. And so everybody starts with a clean slate in January, including me. But other than that, we're constantly trading papers back and forth. So that's a good question. All right. If you think of other level 1 questions, then be sure and speak up. Right now, I'm going to talk about level 2. Level 2 people, it's a very small online level 2 class this year. It's just 3 people. So we have Aubrey, and Jack, and then we have Josh who's in South Africa. So level 2 people I have a local class too, but a lot of people just felt like not a lot, but several people felt like they just weren't ready to go on to the parents felt like they just weren't ready to go on to level 2. So they're waiting. So level 2 people have 2 handbooks. You have Planning for Success, which is our first essay, and you also have the main handbook, okay? So your assignment for the pre-class assignment is on page 3 of the Planning for Success book. And I had squished all this into 6 days, but since we've got 2.5 weeks, you could spread it out for like a 9 or 10 day writing session if you wanted to. You're going to be doing the writing plan, which you did last year, and that's no big deal. You're also going to be doing the MLA Fundamentals tutorial that I have linked. The link that you can actually click on is on ThinkWave, or you can just type it in, and it's here in the instructions, okay? And this will take them through the basics of citation of sources, which is such a pain, but it has to be done. And so that's one of the, I don't do that in level 1. In level 1, we just we do a works cited page, but we don't do parenthetical citations and all that in level 1. It's just too much, okay? But we do start it seriously in level 2. So this tutorial will demystify a lot of it. So when I start talking about it in class, they'll actually already be familiar with the terms and the ideas, okay? When they get to the end of that, there's a certificate for them to print. And they need to do it until they get 100%. Because when they turn in their certificate, it needs to say 100%. Okay? I'm a wacko. But I mean, if they have to redo it several times, it's not that long and hard, and it'll help them get it into their head. So it's okay if they have to redo it several times. They'll get the information in their head. Then they're also going to actually start reading the articles in here. Just the first one is the Do Hard Things articles. Both of y'all have done this with another student, Kim and Carrie, so you know what I'm talking about, okay? They don't have to fill out stuff, except maybe the how to read the pre-reading preparation that's listed on there from the How to Read a Book article, okay? So it looks like a lot, but the reading is easy and it's kind of fun, and the tutorial isn't that bad, and it won't be a terrible long thing to do, and it'll get them ready for that first class, okay? Okay, y'all have any questions about that? Y'all are old hands. I don't think you have any. There's no mystery here for you, probably. Okay. And all my level 3 people are local this year, so I don't have any level 3 people to talk about. Let's see if there's anything else here that I really need to mention. I don't do makeups with people, but what I do have is on ThinkWave, I have a video posted for every class for level 1. For level 2, I have videos for some of the classes. I can't remember if I have all of them or not. But for level 1, there is a video for every single class. And your punishment for missing class will be watching my video. So try not to do that. It's not that bad because the student
videos.
Pardon me?
Do you record your videos, like if the parent wants to go back and watch?
Well, what I did was over the last 2 years or so, I actually recorded class videos and then I edited them, which takes a while, and I posted them on YouTube, and I put a link on each ThinkWave assignment, and it will be the same information, even though it will be a different set of kids. So that way, if they miss the class for some reason, and people just have to miss class sometimes. People get sick, there are emergencies, homeschoolers go on vacation at weird times, so some classes will be missed probably. And so they should go ahead and watch the video as soon as possible so they don't get behind in their writing schedule. Okay. It won't be the exact class that I just did because a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. If you had to wait for me to get through with my class week and edit all those things and get them posted, many days will go by before that happens. So just watch the one that's posted on each ThinkWave. Let me show you what I mean. I don't really have them for Prep 1, but we do the same thing. Oh, I have to tell y'all what we do in Prep 1. Each class is really, it's fun. Okay, let me find this. All right, so here's this level. That's return from visit. So here's like the third assignment. This was last year. And okay, it's the wrong semester. Well, I'll just show you this one. So every assignment has got this. A video of the class is available at. So they can just click on that and watch it and know what they need to know from what we did in class that day. Okay?
What tab will that be on for the kids?
Well, they will have, it'll be on the assignment tab. Oh, let's
Okay.
look at it that way. Let's look at it that way. That's a good idea. Oh, there's another problem that has come up about ThinkWave. And I did email ThinkWave about it this afternoon. They're so great. Somebody emailed me and said that they didn't see any comments for their student. And I found this out like at the end of the year after everything was over from a mom, but then I don't know, it just went out of my head. I didn't know this was going on, but the comments weren't showing up in the bubbles. So like, let me find the assignments here. Assignments. I don't know. I never knew about this, but apparently it's been going on for a while. You see how when I go over the bubble here, this is comment bubble, it says 0 comments. I never have 0 comments. Even if everything's perfect, I always have comments. Even if it's something this simple, outstanding structure, style, and story idea, corrections, none. Okay, so I don't know why it's not showing it, but I did email those people today. And they emailed me right back. They're so great. And said, we will look into that and get back to you. So hopefully I'll find out something soon. So what was it I was looking for to tell you about? Somebody asked me something.
Where the children can see that video, like on their what tab?
Okay. Okay, so it will be on each assignment. And the way you get to it is to click on that little arrow there. And all of the information, all of the files that are available to print are here. All the information they needed to know about that assignment are here. And so usually the first thing is the link for the video. Okay? Good question. That's a very good question. Okay, super. Let's see. All right. The level 1 people will need to, and this is all in the handbook, and we'll talk more about it when we get closer to it, but they will be doing a research paper for assignments 5 and 6, a research report, and it's a 5-paragraph report, 3 topics, introduction and conclusion. And I do have a page in the handbook that tells you how to go about picking out something that would be a good report subject. And then they'll pick out a book over Christmas that they'll want to read for the book review that we're going to be doing when we get to class 12. We'll all do the same review of a short story, Jack London short story, in classes 10 and 11. And then they'll do another book review on the book that they've chosen for class 12. For level 2, they have a 6-week paper that they do, a research paper, and it will be a research essay, and it can be related to a school subject or a biography of a person of significance, i.e. not a movie star or rock singer. Although there are some singers who really could make good subjects, right? Like, I can't think of anybody right now. But I can see people writing about
Johnny Cash. I don't know.
Yeah, I can see people writing about Johnny Cash. I can see people writing about Elvis. I mean, there's an interesting person.
Hildegard von Bingen.
Huh?
Hildegard von Bingen.
I couldn't understand what you were saying, Winter.
Hildegard von Bingen.
Oh, no wonder I couldn't understand you. I have no idea who that is. It just doesn't need to be a pop subject. Some people in the arts and entertainment have transcended that, right? They just are in a category all of their own, and but it needs to be something substantial that they are investigating. And it can be, I mean, I've had people do things like, one guy has actually gone off to college now to work on, he's doing marine biology, and I remember he wrote a very good essay about the octopus one year. It's a great paper. So, I mean, there are all kinds of, things that you could write about that are worth spending time on. And that's what you would want to do for one of these research papers, okay? And they can actually write a character analysis of a person, of a main character in one of my books that I have listed. Or the other option is Little Mermaid. We write a Little Mermaid paper, and then if they want to do their character analysis on Little Mermaid, they can. But I'd be thrilled if they wrote it about somebody else. Okay. I think that's all that I have to tell you about particularly. Now, before I let you go, and probably after this is over, questions are going to come up. You're certainly able to email me, and if you're wondering about it, other people are probably wondering about it too, okay? And I don't want anybody to suffer unnecessarily. And so I have said to other people, I said this the other night, if you have a student who's really just having a hard time in the level that they're in, we can always drop back to the previous level. Of course, not the Prep 1 people, but they wouldn't need to do that anyway. It's just pure delight. So I don't want any, and if you have problems, I had one lady who called me almost in tears a long time ago, and her daughter was just taking like all day to do, and it was the easy part of level 1. And so we had to talk about some strategies for, getting focused, moving along, what she could do to help her move along. I've had so many students over the years, hundreds and hundreds of them, and all of them, all different types, and all my kids were different types. So I've run the gamut, and I can help you figure out things if you're having problems. It doesn't necessarily mean they need to go back to the earlier level, okay? But don't suffer in silence until you just can't stand it anymore, and then you just want to quit, okay? There's no need to get to that point. because this is, this isn't, it'll start out easy, okay? But it's not, this is work. IEW is wonderful, but it does take work. So you may get frustrated at times. And if you will work with your student, the results will pay off, okay? But that doesn't mean we can't come up with some other alternatives sometimes, okay? Let's see. Questions before we go on to keyword outlining for those that have not done keyword outlining before? All right. If you think of something, and I'll probably think of something too. I mean, I'm sitting here using my notes, but I always think of things after class is over. So if you think of something you need to ask me before we finish, then you can ask me before we close it out for the night. And if you think of something after we're already gone, then you can just email me, okay? We've had some very good questions tonight. Thank you. Part of the problem with it is all the technology that we have to use for the online class, and that can be frustrating. All right, gone. Okay, so if you have done keyword outlining before and you feel confident about doing it, then you don't have to stay. But if you have done it before and you feel confident and you do want to stay, you certainly are welcome to. Okay. Everybody's going to need at least a piece of paper and a pen. So keyword outlining is the basis of all the writing. Bye, Bianca. She just did this the other night. Bye, Kim. Bye, Mary. Oh, Mary's still there. I don't know. Bye, Robin. Y'all tell your kids I'm looking forward to seeing them. All right. So keyword outlining is the basis of all writing that we do in all 3 levels. And it's such a great technique. I have students that go off to college and they use keyword outlining through college. Now, they don't necessarily do it to the nth degree like they had to learn to do it with me, but it's a very useful skill because what it does is it helps you get away from the original so that you can say things in your own words. Saying things in your own words is completely natural. For instance, if you were to go and your child were to say to you after the meeting, well, what did Mrs. Kimbrell say? Would you repeat everything that I said in exactly the same words that I would have said them?
No.
No. What would you do?
Summarize.
Yeah. And what things would you summarize?
Words.
You would probably talk about the things that jumped out to you as interesting or that jumped out to you as important, right? You're probably not going to remember everything I said, but if there was something that particularly caught your ear, those are the things that you would want to talk about, and you would say them in your own words, right? And so really saying things in our own words is the natural way. What's not natural is when we repeat back exactly the same words that the person that said them, whether that was in writing or whether it was something we just heard, okay? So the trick, though, is it's easy to do that when you're talking about something that you heard. It's not so easy to do when you're talking about something that's written on a piece of paper, right? There it becomes very tricky because you're kind of tied to the source. So what keyword outlining does is it allows you to take notes in a very, very brief manner so that you remember the ideas so that you can naturally tell them back in your own words. And that's what they will be doing the whole year in Prep 1. And they will be doing that a lot in the first 2 assignments. They'll keep doing keyword outlining, but I won't make the level 1 students keep giving oral reports. They just do those for the first 2 assignments, okay? But the Prep 1 people, and it's so much fun. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at the book, but the students have, I have different topics. It's like, what do you call this in biology? Birds, invertebrates, you know, all those different, what do you call them? Categories, classifications? Classifications? Okay. So their first bunch of their different ones, and I tried to pick out unusual animals that they would be interested in writing and doing keyword outlines about. And they will just give you an oral report. They'll do a keyword outline, give you an oral report. Next day, they'll do it again. Next day, they'll do it again. Until we get to the most glorious one of all, which is on Italy. That's after Christmas. Level 1 people will do keyword outlines all year. When it first starts out, it's very basic, and that's what we're going to learn right now. But the way we get our keyword outlines will change as we go. Particularly when we start doing report kind of writing, and we start taking keywords from ideas, not sentence by sentence, the way they're going to do it to start with. But the principle is we always work from the least complicated to the more complicated, okay? So when you start out, you may think, oh, how are they ever going to get to be writers doing this? But it will, like I said, in level 1, it does ramp up pretty quickly. But my goal is for them to have a really good understanding of keyword outlining before that happens, okay? So don't worry, it'll get hard. Now, let's do a keyword outline together. And this is the sea turtle article. We actually do this in class, but let me see if I can move this over here. Let me just get rid of this. Hide floating meeting controls. That's what I need to do. Okay. And let me pull this over to the side. That's out of the way. Okay, so when we first start keyword outlining, and this is all detailed in the handbooks as well, but I'm just going to talk to you about it at this point. What we want to do first is read through the source, whatever it happens to be. And so we can just get a basic idea of what it is we're going to be outlining. And then we will start taking keywords sentence by sentence. I better move this over here so I can pull my document down. The Roman numeral 1 will be the topic. And of course, we can see what the topic is pretty easily for this paragraph. What do you think it is? Exactly, sea turtles. Okay, so just on your piece of paper, just put a Roman numeral 1. And next to it, we're just going to write sea turtles. Now we are going to go back and, why am I having trouble with this? Hold on a minute. Let me just reset my pen here. I tried this out already and it worked fine. Okay. So our topic is going to be sea turtles. So we know that. And we do one of these in class together every class session for Prep 1. And that's really fun. And then we go back and we do an oral report together. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is read through it. And then we'll start keyword outlining each sentence. Georgia is the summer home for several species of sea turtles. The loggerhead is the most common. They spend the cold months in the tropics. In late spring, they travel to Georgia. During the summer, they mate. Each year, about 1,000 sea turtle nests can be found on Georgia's barrier islands. Hatchlings make their way to the water by starlight. Scientists believe this helps set their navigation system. Artificial light confuses the hatchlings. During the summer and early fall, most sea turtle beaches prohibit fires and flashlights at night. Sea turtle enthusiasts work to preserve these fascinating creatures. Okay, so we've got our topic. And now we're going to start taking keyword outlines. So the way we do this is, okay, Prep 1 people, open your books to page 14. And level 1 people, open your books to page 22. All right, I've got the same thing, I think, written here, except I've got 2 different paragraphs of examples. But here's the method of keyword outlining. First, you read through the paragraph completely. Paragraph topic is Roman numeral 1 on your outline, and you do want to have them double space their outline in their composition books when they start doing this, because they need plenty of space so they can read their work when they're done. For each sentence, at this point we'll be doing sentences. For each sentence, pick out 3 words that are the most important and convey the most information about the facts. Sentence number 1 is number 1 on the outline. Sentence number 2 is number 2 on the outline. You may use abbreviations, symbols, and numbers in place of words. These are free. They don't count for your 3 words. Use standard abbreviations so you can remember them. They should be recognizable enough that you'll be able to remember what it means when you come back to your outline. For each fact, actually for each sentence, list 3 keywords, any numbers, symbols, and abbreviations. Don't try to reproduce entire sentences for your outline, because suppose you did get your 3 words and you managed to do the whole sentence exactly like it appeared using 3 words, numbers, symbols, and abbreviations. When you went back to write it, what would it sound like?
Like the original one.
Exactly. And that's what we're trying not to do, right? Mm. Okay. You may use synonyms. Oh, yeah. You do want to be as brief as possible, and you want to be able to write the ideas in your own words. And if you use too many words from the original, it's hard to be original yourself. So that's why we're limiting to 3 words. You can use synonyms in place of the original words. You're not limited of which words you use, as long as you can get down the main idea, okay? So the keyword outline rules: no more than 3 words per outline point. Numbers, symbols, and abbreviations are free. Do not try to produce an entire sentence. Be brief and use synonyms in your outline when possible. Okay, so let's do this together. And if you'll look on page, let's see, level 1 people, you have a nice page of abbreviations and symbols on page 63. And Prep 1 people, you have the same page on page 22. You want to open that? But these are just a smattering of possible abbreviations and symbols. They're by no means the only ones you can use. Okay, so what we're first going to do is look at these sentences and see what we can come up with here. Okay, Georgia is the summer home for several species of sea turtles. Now, there's some words in here we really don't need to worry about, and I do this with the Prep 1 people, and at first I do it with the level 1 people, but is not an important word here. Okay, the is not important. For is not important. Sometimes you might use a number for. Of is not important. And this here, we know that this whole paragraph is about what?
Sea turtle.
Right. So we don't really need to use that, do we? So we know we're writing about sea turtles. We've already got that down here. So What about an abbreviation for Georgia?
GA.
Exactly. Georgia. Summer home, several species. We haven't used any words yet. I think we could use summer here. Now, this is not on your list of symbols, but I use this when I can because I think it's cute. Okay, so summer home. Summer home. We could use several here. We could just abbreviate it. I would. Now, what they want to do sometimes, not so much with Prep 1 because these aren't really complicated sentences, but you'll find level 1 students sometimes like writing an entire word and leaving off 2 letters on the end and putting a period and say it's an abbreviation. Trying to get around the rules. They can't do that. There's a reason for having the rules, and that's so we don't get too many words. Okay, let's go to the next one. The loggerhead is the most common. Well, that's pretty simple. Somebody give me an idea about something we could do here.
I would do loggerhead, most common.
Yeah. Loggerhead. Now, right at the beginning, we're not going to worry, especially in Prep 1, but with any of them, we're worrying about most common, about using the words that are actually in the source. What we really want them to do right now is learn to do the keyword outlining, okay? It's hard when things are this simple to make it very different. But I've been amazed at even the Prep 1 students who will create these wonderful creative sentences, even though they're writing down these very simple ideas. Okay, they spend the cold months in the tropic. Now, what's the main thing we need to get down here? Do you think the word spend is important?
No.
Probably not. And sometimes I'll have them do this actually in Prep 1. We'll write in little clues. So while we're working on this, we'll scratch out words, but here's an abbreviation for months. We don't need these, we don't need these, we don't need these, we don't need these. Okay, well, that's MOS, by the way. That's kind of scratchy. So we pretty much have this figured out now, right? So we can do, somebody tell it to us. Come on, don't be shy.
And cold months, tropics. I froze up again, so
Okay. Spend cold months. And I like arrows. They are very useful in keyword outlining. You can use them for all kinds of things. I'm going to make this a little smaller so I can see more of my outline all at once. I don't think that's too small. Can you all see that okay?
Yes.
Okay. In late spring, they travel to Georgia. All right. Arrows are really handy here. So what do you want to do here? I know they're going to be
spring, arrow to Georgia.
Excellent. Late spring, arrow, Georgia. We only had to use 2 words there. You don't have to use 3 words, but you can. Okay. All right. During the summer, they mate. Now I would just get rid of that. I'd get rid of the during already. I think all the way. I would just say, remember, you don't have to put it down.
Sign mate.
Huh?
Can you move the
Summer
structure
equal
around?
sign mate.
Okay, I think I hear some, say it again, Winter.
Summer equals mate.
Yeah, that's great.
So I had a question. Can you move the structure around? Because I had
Yes.
found mate in
Yes.
summer.
Yes, either one of those would be fine. You can do summer equals mate. That's creative. And actually, that's what I was thinking of. Is that Anju that said that? Mate
Yes.
in summer. Either one of these would be fine, but not both, of course, because that's too many words. But yes, that is perfectly fine. In fact, putting down a different structure, a different order of the words helps to break out of that mold. Okay. That's great. Each year, about 1,000 sea turtle nests can be found on Georgia's barrier islands. Well, that's kind of complicated. Okay. Another thing kids will want to do is they'll just want to break things up and make like 2 or 3 points on an outline. That also is not allowed. What we're trying to do is get them to think about the most important things so they can they can tell it back, but not in the same words. Okay, so what's the critical thing we need to know here? Oh, here's one of my favorite symbols. The kids like it too, because it's like a sideways S, a sideways backwards S. That was just a mistake. Okay, that means about. Okay, so what do you think I was going to put there next?
1,000 nests.
Mm-hmm. What about a per? Look, we've only used one word. 1,000 nests per year. Now, do we need that word found? The reason they're found is because they're there, right? 1,000 nests per year. I think they're specifically talking about Georgia here, so maybe we should use Georgia again. What do you think?
Would you do like the at symbol at Georgia's barrier islands?
Yeah, that's a great idea. I like that. At Georgia's barrier islands. Islands. I like this thing that I have. I'll show it to you. I like being able to write. Can y'all see that? Can you see it's fun to write on it and be able to do this with the kids, but sometimes the pen gets a little scratchy for some reason. Okay. Hatchlings make their way to the water by starlight. Oh, there's all kinds of symbols we can use here. Now, I think that word hatchlings, I'll ask the kids too, what do you think do you think this is an important word? And they'll say hatchlings because it sounds important. So I think we should probably use hatchlings here. Hatchlings, although we have actually tried to draw baby turtles too. I'm not a very good drawer though. Hatchlings. Okay, instead of saying make their way to, what could we use?
An arrow.
An arrow.
Yes. And we got a good chemical symbol option here.
H2O.
Yeah.
And there's a picture of a star.
Yeah. We can actually use, usually you don't need prepositions, but maybe here you might need a preposition. By starlight. Okay, that's probably not real easy to read. I hope y'all can read that. Scientists believe this helps set their navigation system. Okay.
So I put on star sets navigation system.
Okay, stars. Set navigation, because we don't really need to put in there. It's true, whether they believe it or not, I guess. Navigation system. The scientists aren't really that important in here. The important part is what you just said. So
You can also probably just say NABCIS.
yeah. That's true. NAV is actually an abbreviation. NAV. And so is CIS, right?
Yeah.
That's good. That would be a good option there. Okay. Artificial light confuses the hatchlings.
Fake light confuses them.
Huh?
Fake light confuses them.
Okay, so fake. Now, there is actually an abbreviation for light. Y'all know what it is? It's real simple. Or one of the kids had me do this before. That doesn't really look like a light bulb, but a light bulb, a very poorly drawn light bulb, fake light confuses hatchlings. Okay. And we go a lot more slowly than this, especially in prep 1 when we're first starting out. So sorry, that's very hard to read, but that's supposed to say hatchlings. We don't just zoom through it the way we're doing right now. We take time, we talk about it, we cross out words, we draw little symbols above words if we want to remember to use it. So during summer and early fall, most sea turtle beaches prohibit fires and flashlights at night. Now we know a symbol we can use for prohibit. The good old not symbol. It's very handy in keyword outline. Not fires, flashlights, and certainly not four-wheelers with headlights on them. No fires or flashlights at, we could say night, or we could just put PM if we wanted to. Okay.
So you don't need to say summer or early fall in that. No.
Well, you know what? I forgot about those words. Let's do months 6 through 10.
Okay.
Will that help us remember? Because I've used up 2 of the words already. That's the 6, y'all. Months 6 through 10. Thank you. I totally forgot about it. I was really focused on the second part of the sentence. Sea turtle enthusiast. I like that word, enthusiast. I would want to borrow that word because I think it's a great word. And is it okay to use a word if you think it's a really great word and you'd like to actually use it? It is. It's not that they can't use any words that are in the original. We just don't want them wholesale borrowing the entire paragraph, right? I like that word, enthusiast. That's what Andrew Pudewa calls the Robin Hood method of learning. You rob the rich to give to the poor. So, and I really like that word, so I'm going to use it. So I'm going to do enthusiast, hoping I remember that that's sea turtles. Or I could even do this. Sea turtle in... Why am I having such a hard time with this? Maybe I need to pull my document down. Sea turtle enthusiasts work to preserve these fascinating creatures. Okay. We know what the basic idea is here. They're conservationists. how can we put this? It doesn't have to be preserve and it doesn't have to be fascinating. We know they're talking about sea turtles.
Mm,
Can you just say sea turtle enthusiasts protect them?
Yeah, that's great. And they really do. I've actually been on the beach with some of these people. Maybe y'all have too. At Hunting Island, where we would go camping a lot when our kids were growing up, they had armies of sea turtle enthusiasts that would go out on the beach every morning just when it barely got light, and they'd find out where the mamas had laid the eggs, and they would very carefully remove the eggs because the mom just goes right back to the ocean as soon as she lays them. And they would take them to a chain link enclosure because raccoons just love sea turtle eggs. And they would put them in safety in the enclosure so that they might actually have a chance to survive. So I went out with some, we went on several sea turtle walks with the rangers, and they taught us about all this stuff. It was so fascinating. Okay, so what we want to do now, and we'll do it fast because it's 9 o'clock and I know y'all need to go. We're going to just quickly do an oral report, and I'd like for everybody to participate, okay? And I can only see 4 of you at a time. So let's see, I can see Haley, Winter, Michelle, then Rebecca, Mary, Jenny, Megan. I think that's everybody. Is that everybody? Okay, so I'll start with the first one. And we want to not look at our original. That's the thing. When the kids have done their keyword outline, they're giving you the oral reports. You want them to put it away and just use their keyword outline. If they can say it to you, if they can say a report to you using their keyword outline, then writing it is really just a formality. Okay? All right. Let's see. The barrier islands of Georgia are the summer home to several species of sea turtles. Okay, let's see. I see Valentina next. Do you want to go next, Valentina?
So I'm doing
Number 2.
Number 2. Okay.
Yeah.
The loggerhead is the most common. I think I got the easy one.
That's great. Okay. Let's see. Anju, you can do number 3.
They spend the colder months in the tropics.
Super. Okay, let's see. Who is this I'm looking at next? It's bouncing around. Sorry. I think that y'all don't see people the same order that I see them. That's the problem. So, oh, I lost my picture. Okay. I don't know where my people went. Okay, somebody else do number 4.
I can go. In the late spring, they travel to Georgia.
Super. Somebody else do number 5.
The summer months are when the sea turtles look for a mate.
Super. Okay, somebody do number 6. It's a little more complicated.
Approximately 1,000 nests are found per year on Georgia's barrier islands.
Super. Okay, number 7.
Hatchlings find their way to the water by starlight.
Good. Oh, hold on a minute. I lost let me go back. Where did it go? Okay, share. Well, why is it, can y'all see the document? Okay. All right. Well, I just brought the document back on. I can't see y'all. Okay, number 8.
Stars.
Starlight helps set their navigation system.
Super. And the fake sentence on number 9.
Fake lights confuse hatchlings.
Super. Number 10.
During the months, no, during summer and fall, they prohibit fires and flashlights at night.
Super. Great. And one more, number 11.
Turtle enthusiasts protect these wonderful creatures.
Oh, that's excellent. Did everybody get to do at least one sentence? Okay. Okay. All right. So it's really fun, and the kids actually really do enjoy it. You know, I'm thinking about the Prep 1 kids now because they do this a lot. And when they come back to class, the Prep 1 students, everybody will do the oral report that they liked the most from the set of 9 that they did over the last 2 weeks. And they'll all have a chance to recite their poem that they've been working on. And then we do a keyword outline together, and we read a story and we analyze it. So that's really fun. The level 1 people will start out doing keyword outlines, and they'll be telling you their oral reports. And I start out really easy on them for sharing, but I usually start out by saying they'll come back with 2 paragraphs they have written, and I'll have everybody read at least one sentence out of the paragraph that they wrote. So we go very slowly. I don't make anybody just stand up in class and read a whole paper. But by the end of the year, they will be volunteering. A lot of them will be volunteering to do that. So, okay, so y'all have the basic idea of keyword outlining. We'll be doing it more, and you'll become more familiar with it as you go. But all writing in IEW right up through level 3 is done starting with the keyword outline. It changes radically how we actually get those outlines. But this is the very most basic skill, and it is a very useful skill. So I hope that you're going to enjoy it. I love doing it with the kids. And has anybody thought of any other questions they'd like to ask before I let you go? No? Okay. All right. Well, you probably will. So just email me, and hopefully, Wendy, I will post. I need to post the pre-class assignment for you, right?
Oh,
Wendy.
Jennifer.
Huh?
Jennifer, I do have something. Are
Oh.
you able to scroll down so I can see the original? Because I always struggle when I'm helping the kids with the keyword outlines. Like not good at it. They're way better, but I wanted to see the original so I can get it in my mind, like what kinds of things that I can be.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I actually have this, and I can, where should I post it? Maybe where could I put this so you could access it? I could put it on the pre-class assignment if that won't confuse people. Or I could just email it to you. I actually have an outline written. So you want to see the one we just did?
Yeah, if you could, like, if you scroll up, I can screenshot it, but I have mine written down.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay. Why is it looking like this? This is weird, and I don't understand how this happened. And it's not scrolling for me either. Double
Hey,
click.
Jennifer, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have to go.
Okay.
So thank you for
fine. Okay. And I will be posting, well, I did post the link for level 1, but I will be posting links for each class for their Zoom link later on. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye. I don't know how I got there. I don't know why this is looking like this. Mary. Would you like for me to email you the sea turtle thing?
Yeah, that'd be fine. Thank you.
Okay. Just the original?
Yeah, that's great. Just the original's great.
Okay. If anybody else wants it, I guess I could post it on the free class assignment, but is there
I wanted to.
you want to? Okay. And y'all have your own keyword outline that you made, right? Okay, so I'm going to post it for level 1 and on pre-class and for prep 1 on pre-class. Okay. Did you have a question you wanted to particularly ask about that, Mary, that you said that? Okay. All right. Okay, thank y'all. And let me know if you think of anything else you would like to know about, okay? I'm looking forward to the school year with y'all.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.